Palm Beach, Florida, with, I guess that's what's behind us, Ted.
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Minneapolis, Minnesota, because in a short while we're going to have Pastor Jackson on from Tulsa, who runs a very large Christian church, a very successful one and a very beautiful one in Tulsa. That you've seen him on our show before, and I've had the honor of speaking at his church. And we just want his views on this horrendous attack on a Christian church yesterday at about 10:30 in the middle of Sunday services, with these goons walking in, apparently under the direction of wacky Don Lemon, the many times fired TV, whatever the hell he was, jackass, yelling and screaming and cursing and intimidating, as if that's an exercise of the right of free speech. Well, we'll get to that shortly. But first, let's take a look at what is going on in Iran right now. So the regime is back to once again saying that they are going to reinstitute the executions. The Ayatollah, unlike the president's rather peaceful and calm language about them, is talking about what a criminal Trump is, and how the riots or the protests there are all created by enemies of the regime, in particular America and Trump and Israel, which is very, very far from the truth. Those protests I can trace back myself to just about the time that I started to get active with MEK and the NCRI, which would be in 2010. The protest started on a small scale way back then in 2010, 2011. By 2013, 14, they were really getting off to a very, very heavy start until the ally of the Ayatollah, President Obama, basically squelched them. At the time, we didn't know he was also giving hundreds of millions of dollars behind our back in cash to the regime of terror, so they could use it to support the terrorist groups they supported. Yes. That's what he was doing. I'm not making it up. It's just because we live in a censored country, and one that is that allows Democrats to commit even capital crimes without consequence. Or do you not know about that? But I mean, you do know that he was sending them cash, and you do know it was hundreds of millions of dollars in cash, and you do know he was hiding it. You know all that. Now all you have to do is say, well, who was he sending it to? The Ayatollah Khomeini. And what's the main thing we know about Iran? The main thing we know, and probably don't dispute, is that the biggest sponsors of terrorism in the world. And now we know they were sponsoring several very, very large proxy groups: Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Assad, and groups that you wouldn't know. I mean, names you just wouldn't know. It's estimated that they give about half of their assets, budget, whatever, to those groups, because those groups acted as a protection for them, made them important and safe, and could throw their weight around. It's the reason, in addition to the sanctions, that their people are starving. This is a wealthy country, but people are starving left and right. I think one of the most shocking things I saw back during the protests in 2017 and 18 was the various men holding signs saying, give me $500 for I'll give you my kidney. It was that bad, and it is that bad now. So when I'd like you to conceive of the time in which it was presented to Obama that the money that he was going to give to Iran, he should do it in cash. So, I once ran for president. I once thought about being president. I was mayor of a city and a prosecutor, both. And I'm thinking, gee, suppose my chief of staff came to me and said, the Ayatollah needs some money, Mr. President. And first of all, I can't imagine he would come to me and ask me to give the Ayatollah money. But of course, Biden did that too, probably gave him even more. But imagine if he said, well, he needs another 50 million. All right. And he wants you to deliver it to him in cash. I want everybody to know about it. I can't imagine I wouldn't immediately call up the FBI and ask them to arrest my chief of staff and say, whoever the head of the FBI was, God forbid if it would be Comey, right? Comey would probably come and arrest me. So maybe somebody like a Louis Freeh or a Kash Patel or like an honest person. But he'd be my appointee. I'd say, come on over, bring over a couple of handcuffs and get a assistant U.S. attorney, have him come over here. I'll have the Secret Service hold him until then. I want you to arrest my chief of staff because he just asked me to join a conspiracy to give money to terrorists.
Right.
Now, I want you to change that so you'll understand it better. Suppose during that period of time and before we killed bin Laden, my chief of staff came in and said, I want you to put about 100 million in an envelope and let's send it to bin Laden. Well, of course, I do the same thing. And I do the same thing because it is the same thing. You get it. How does Obama get away with this, Ted? There's no difference between the Ayatollah and bin Laden, except the Ayatollah has been able to operate on a bigger world scale. And I don't know, maybe committed even more murders, probably has. But it's the same terrorism that we're supporting. It's the same terrorist leader type that we're supporting. It's giving money to a terrorist, giving money where you as the president more than anyone else knows that half of that damn budget goes to terrorists. Money's fungible, so you give them 100 million and you can be pretty damn sure 50 million is going to kill Jews or Americans or a combination of both.
Right.
You're probably paying for having your own people killed. Now, how does this guy run around being a billionaire with his wife that hates America? What's wrong with us? I mean, something seriously wrong with our morality and our ability to rationally think about what's right and wrong and how to protect ourselves. And Trump is doing everything he can to straighten it out, but there are things we don't even think about. When we think about this governor in Minnesota, nobody ever points out that the first thing he did when he got out of college, he got recruited to go to China.
Right.
And China loved him so much, they invited him back 20, 30 times. I believe funded both of his businesses, but he's never been asked to show the books of those businesses. And those businesses were doing something very, very dangerous for us. Those businesses were sending at least 50 kids over to China every year to get educated. Now, what the hell do you think they were getting educated in? So I mean, I can't, let's say I'm not sure of this. I just have these questions, about 50 of them about China, none of which have been answered. And because he won't answer them, and because there seems to be a conspiracy to cover up even asking them, I just going to come to the conclusion that I'm right and that he is an apparatchik of Red China. And watching how he's trying to destroy Minneapolis, I mean, he sure looks like he's an apparatchik of somebody who hates us.
Right.
So you look at this church on Sunday. I didn't see any police showing up. Do they have police?
That's what I wanted to.
I mean, they only have 800 cops anyway. But I mean, do they actually do things like make arrests and stuff like that?
Where were they?
Well, do they arrest anybody? I don't know. I mean, since they gave up the precinct, have they gone out and made any arrests?
Right. Well, we're a little early, but I believe he's ready for us.
Okay, well then let's go to
Pastor Jackson Lehmeyer, of course, one of our favorites. And someone you're very close to, Mayor, and he's on live with us now.
Hello, Pastor. How are you? It's always a great pleasure to see you.
It's always good to see you and hear from you, Mayor. I hope all is well where you are.
Yeah,
Hopefully better
everything,
than Minneapolis.
well, it's a lot better than Minneapolis. And Minneapolis is very frightening, what's happening there. But I mean, it must have really touched you to see. I mean, that could have been your church.
I know. They kind of crossed the Rubicon, didn't they? Church used to be a sacred place that even whether you weren't a Christian, that was not something you would go in and do what just happened. But now that line has been crossed, and I've been shouting it from the rooftops that churches are going to have to invest in security. At our church, we have law enforcement. We have a great security team because we recognize this is the world that we live in. And now that they've crossed that line, there's no going back. And yeah, where were the police at? They weren't in there for 30 seconds. They were in there for a while.
I mean, even in New York, I don't know if it's going to continue with the communist mayor, but under Mayor Adams, every church, Catholic, Protestant, Jewish synagogues, and even the mosque would have at least a patrol car out front. That's been going on for quite some time now.
Right, and that's how it should be.
Because in New York, churches and synagogues are attacked all the time. Look, they had a terrible murder last year in a Catholic church where they killed two babies, two little children, and wounded 22 people. So, they should be on alert that this is a danger.
Well, it's obviously something that's happening there that is got to be addressed. And, speaking of Don Lemon, I'm hopeful that he is prosecuted. This guy, he's in there, I'm a Christian and I'm a worshiper, and yet I'm inciting a riot inside a church. It's the most oxymoronic thing you can imagine. And I hope that he is prosecuted. I've mentioned some different things. Mayor, you're probably much more familiar with what he could be prosecuted under. But I think that needs to be done to send a message. If you go into a church and you incite a riot in a church during a worship service, it's not a slap on the wrist. It is, you are going to be prosecuted for doing that.
Yeah, you'd think of the protesters against abortion, including, I think, a woman who was in her 60s or 70s who got 5 years in jail.
Yeah.
And they didn't break into the clinic. They didn't accost anyone. They were standing there just chanting in a fairly calm way. They weren't yelling, screaming obscenities. And they got 5 and 10 years in jail. It's the same law, the FACE Act. The law that protects a religious service from that kind of invasion is also the same law that protects these abortion clinics. So if you're out there protesting what you believe is murder, you go to jail for 5 or 10 years. But if you break into a church and frighten the hell out of the poor kids, and they seem to think it's okay.
Yeah, you could see the pictures and the videos of the kids terrified. And you talk about a traumatic experience that should never happen at church. Kids should want to be able to go to church, enjoy church. And these kids have been traumatized. And Don Lemon is highly responsible for his actions. And so, but it's so important, Mayor, that pastors and church leaders take this serious. This is not a one and done issue. This is happening more frequently. Church attacks have skyrocketed in our country, not in other countries, but our country. And what a just baffling thing. You never think that would take place. And I have an interesting story. In 2020, there was the BLM riots, right? And Tulsa had a chapter of BLM. And the leader of the BLM chapter here was a Black woman. And I had gotten to a little spat with her online. And so she, within her group, had said, let's all gather at Sheridan Church and let's interrupt their service. And so this was circulating online. They were going to come to our church. And her grandfather got on social media and called her out and said, don't you ever go into any church, whether you agree or disagree. You don't go into God's house. And guess what? They backed off.
God bless
And
them.
yeah, I was
Oh,
like,
man.
all right, we
What a
were ready,
great-
Mayor. We were ready. They would have been handled very quickly and
God
efficiently.
bless him. God bless him. I mean, that really is a heck of a story. I mean, and really very valuable lesson. We're going to have to. We really are going to have to kind of almost like learn how to act civilized with each other again. And the rest of what's going on there is outrageous. I mean, the city is making these ICE agents who are just federal agents doing their job. They're trying to make them into Nazis. And so you've got to know that you're inciting disturbed people into trying to kill them.
Yes. Have you seen the images, Mayor, of the people out with like AK-40, or I don't know what they have.
Yeah.
Weapons. Yeah, you know what I'm talking
They
about.
have AK-47s. They've got everything.
Yeah, saying they're going to defend their community, and I'm thinking, you're going to get shot. Like,
Yeah. Well, I think the president is being extraordinarily patient. I know him really well, and we can see what happens when he runs out of patience, right? Yeah.
Maduro learned that the hard way, didn't
Maduro
he?
found out when they just pulled him out of his chair, boom. And Iran has found out, and I think Iran may find out again pretty soon.
Yes.
And hopefully, we're starting to move beyond this. Let's see. How are things at the church? I got to come back. I really enjoy your services so much. You're a great preacher and a great thinker and a great theologian and just a great man. And you have a wonderful congregation, a beautiful congregation.
Mayor, it's exploded. We've outgrown our building. We're busting down walls, building another building. It is just multiplied since the last time you were there. So yeah, you need to come back to Tulsa. Don't come right now. It's like 10 degrees outside. It's not enjoyable. But
it's cold in Palm Beach too,
It's cold here right now.
Yeah,
that's why I'm in my jacket and I can't even keep my studio warm.
Well, good luck, Pastor. I mean, you and your family, also a beautiful, beautiful family that participates. Your wife and your family participate very much in the church. And
give us the website if folks want to tune in. I believe his services are available online.
Oh yeah. Sheridan.church, very easy. Here it is on my shirt, SHERIDAN.church. And all of our services are live, but they're also, you can go back and rewatch them, even if they're not live.
Very inspiring. I mean, music's great too.
Oh yeah. We have a great church. We're blessed in Tulsa. And so just remember, Mayor, if you're looking to move somewhere, we'll take you right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I know. I just may. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Be blessed.
It's really a blessing to have him,
Oh, he's
such a good man and such a great Christian. And
he's also the founder of pastorsfortrump.com. I want to point that out. That's important. And boy, I'd love to see those. I'd love to see Don Lemon and his crew try to interrupt Pastor Jackson Lehmeyer's service. I don't know how that would.
Who knows?
I do know how that would go down, and it wouldn't end well for him.
Sly Stallone might be around.
Tulsa.
Yeah,
right? I didn't get to go with you last time. I want to join you.
I think he's been to the church. You might have to deal with Rocky boys.
Yeah,
I can't see Don Lemon going up against Rocky, even if Rocky is in the 70s now.
Right. The pastor and his friends over there. So great.
Don Lemon, it would look like this. Here's Rocky.
Yeah.
Here's Don Lemon.
Don Lemon, I love that. Whoever started that, I'm going to give you credit for that.
I think it was Rush.
Okay, this is great.
I think it was the great Rush Limbaugh who started that. So the law that applies here, there are actually several, and it depends on how serious you want to go. The one that is the clearest is called the FACE Act, and it applies a doctrine that you should know. People like to think sometimes that the First Amendment, the right of free speech, is absolute. There's no such thing as an absolute right. Even the freedom of religion is not absolute, meaning you may feel very, very strongly that the illegal alien perverts are being treated unfairly. But you can't come to my house and smash on my door at 2:00 in the morning and start yelling outside to help the rapists so they can get back into America,
right?
Or about anything else for that matter. It's called time, place, and manner. So that the right of free speech can be subjected to reasonable limitations, time, place, and manner, so that people can go ahead and exercise their other rights. Otherwise, you could close things down and people can't exercise their other rights. Now, it can't be clearer in the case of exercise of your right to practice your religion, since it's in the same Dawn Amendment. The amendment guarantees your right of free exercise of your religion and the right of free speech. It guarantees both. So they have to live together. They can't live together if you can smash into the church, yell and scream, and interrupt the service.
Right.
And particularly when you have limitations of time, place, and manner. If you want to deliver your message to the pastor of that church, who they say was somehow involved with ICE, right?
Yeah.
Well, you have a way to do that. You can stand outside the church at a reasonable distance so that people can get in and go out without being accosted. And you can basically yell and scream all you want, right? Unless you're disturbing the peace for other people, in which case you got to yell a little less. That's how people can exercise their right to practice their religion, and you can exercise your right to have free speech, and you don't interfere with each other. So when they come in and go out of the church, you can get your message across. And that's all you're entitled to. You're entitled to get your message across. You're not entitled to intimidate them. You're not entitled to cut off their ability even to, I mean, in the case of freedom of religion, it's a very, very sacred right. But you're not entitled to stop them from eating. You're not entitled to stop them from being able to sleep. You're not entitled to stop them being able to get to a hospital. You're entitled to deliver your message to them, to let them know how you feel. Now, once you've gotten that, that's it. That's what free speech is. It isn't. You can't force them to agree with you, and you can't force them to constantly listen to you. So the FACE Act squarely deals with that. But then there are disturbing the peace and other intimidation statutes that apply, depending on how tough the federal government wants to get. And I would think they'd want to get pretty tough here, because this was a concerted, it looks to me, and there was a woman being interviewed who talked about how they planned this. This wasn't just some kind of spontaneous outbreak. This was a planned attempt to destroy a religious service.
Right.
And if you're going to use the Biden application of this law to demonstrations interrupting the murder that's done at these Planned Parenthood clinics, then we're starting off with prison sentences of 5, 6, and 7 years. And these people didn't do anything as serious as this. People who got those kinds of sentences, it almost seemed to me, weren't violating the law. They were outside and they were expressing their opinion that there was an alternative for these women who were going to kill their babies, and that alternative would be abortion. And they weren't,
right.
They didn't break into the clinic, interrupt the clinic, interrupt them in exercising, I guess at the time, Roe against Wade was still the law.
Right.
So it would have been considered at that time a constitutional right. Well, let's see what happens with the rest of this Minnesota thing. Maybe we can check on this a little bit. I wouldn't go really too far out of my way, but did the baby idiot mayor defend this as free speech? I just want to see if he's as ignorant and as stupid as I think he is, and doesn't understand that there's another part to the First Amendment called the free exercise of religion.
Right.
I would imagine that Tampon Tim doesn't agree with that, because Tampon Tim was educated to a very large extent in Red China, where they don't believe in God and they kill Christians.
Yeah.
As well as other religious people. They just don't. You're not allowed to have a religion unless the state dictates it. So Iran, what's going on with Iran? I'm going to tell you what I think is going on, Ted.
What's going on?
We're moving the aircraft carrier into place, and I think we're going to take them out. I think the president is playing possum with them. I'm at the point where I have no doubt about it.
Wow.
I have no doubt. That's why he's being so quiet. President's never this quiet. And the reports are that they're taunting him, saying things like they're going to reestablish the executions. The Chief Justice has said that. The Ayatollah made some very disparaging remarks about him yesterday, about the president, that is. They're killing people here and there, although even the protests have calmed down. I think they're waiting.
Right.
I think everybody's waiting. But they certainly violated his strictures that they're not to kill anybody else. They've killed a lot of people since he first said that. Some people think he might not do it unless they reestablish the executions. I think it's a done deal. I think they're taking out the Ayatollah, and let's hope that nobody falls for a bill of goods,
right,
from the son of the Pahlavi family that bled that country dry.
Right.
Didn't kill as many people as the Ayatollah, but killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Built a prison that the prison that is now used by them. They use for the same purpose: torturing people, killing people. As you know from the representative we had on of the Azeri people, they are completely hated by all of the ethnic minorities in Iran, which make up about half the population of Iran. That's the biggest ones being the Azeris, who are connected to Azerbaijan and therefore to Turkey, and the Kurds, who are disconnected from Turkey. So you have a very, very interesting dynamic here. One of the predictions is that whatever happens, if the Ayatollah is overthrown and there is any kind of replacement government, whether it's the MEK or there's some attempt to put the baby Shah back, particularly if there's an attempt to put the baby Shah back, there'll be a civil war. That the ethnic groups will fight for what they've always wanted, which is their own independence, particularly the Azeris and the Kurds, because they got someplace to go. The Azeris could join Azerbaijan and Turkey. I mean, they're right on the border. I mean, it's just, you just stretch out the border. And the Kurds could team up with the Kurds in Iraq and the Kurds in Turkey and create a Kurdistan.
Right. Right.
And they'd be really rich because they got a lot of oil.
Right.
So Turkey is really split here.
Right.
Turkey would very much like to see the Azeris, who are Turkish in background, join them. It would expand Turkey, or it would expand Azerbaijan, which they control. Right.
Right.
But if that happens, then they're gonna have a real problem in maintaining the Kurd part of Turkey, where they do a hell of a lot of persecution. Right?
Yeah.
And so by and large, Turkey supports Iran.
Yeah.
Which when the president says all these nice things about Erdogan, I hope he's bullshitting.
Yeah.
Because Erdogan's a really bad guy. He's a really bad guy. He is a Muslim extremist who I don't think even believes it. You know, some of these guys probably believe that craziness in the Quran about, he went up to heaven and he was told you should kill the Jews and the Christians, and you're supposed to kill the Jews and the Christians. He doesn't believe that. He just uses it to try to get dominance over the country. And unfortunately, he took a country. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, the Shah really advanced Iran." He took them 2 steps ahead and 3 steps back. He took them 1 or 2 steps ahead in being modernized, and he took them about 3 steps back in becoming a dictatorship, and a violent dictatorship with a secret police that was the equal of anything in a fascist, Nazi, or communist country. However, with Turkey, Ataturk, who controlled Turkey for a long time, really moved them ahead to modernization, into being basically a secular Muslim country where you could practice any religion, and you didn't have to cover yourself, and you didn't get killed if you're a woman, a little bit of hair came out, and they didn't stone you if you got raped. And I mean, he had really moved Turkey quite a long way ahead of Iran, even under the best of circumstances. And Erdogan has taken him all the way back. I mean, Erdogan's wife has a big veil on her. First time I had dinner with Erdogan, it's only once I had dinner with him. I can't even understand it. She's taking it, going like this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a grown woman going like this, and 4 or 5 of her other grown women there. And they were like at the children's table.
Right.
And the men were all at the men's table, and the women are sitting at the children's table. I was like looking if it gets in the way of any of the food.
Yeah.
What the hell is this?
How is that even?
I went back and I told it was the Bush administration. And then I had a long talk with this guy. I was convinced he was I know that. In case you don't know it, I know the Quran pretty darn well. I was convinced this guy, number 1, was a Muslim extremist, and number 2 was a bullshit Muslim extremist.
Yeah,
meaning not a believer, but a guy who was going to use that stuff so that he could kill his enemies and assert absolute control and become president for life, which is what he is now.
Right.
And I thought the Bush administration was a little sweet on him.
Yep.
A little bit like Putin. I saw God in his eyes, and I saw a stone cold killer in his eyes. And the Obama people were in love with him, and the president seems to say very nice things about him. But you never know with the president.
Right.
You never know if he isn't playing you along when he does that or not.
He's very good at that. I think that's a great.
But in any event, just so we talk to each other straight, this is a really bad guy. He's on the side of the terrorists because, well, now if things really change, he could switch back. I mean, he is an opportunist, amoral pig, so he could easily switch back.
Right.
So the Iranians haven't had access to the internet now for 10 days.
Wow.
So
wow.
Even all the when we said that the Crown Prince Baby Shah, Nepo Baby Shah, was able to broadcast there. We're really not sure he was able to broadcast there. He's just saying that.
Oh, we don't know that actually.
Yeah, but he claims he did.
Yeah.
How he did it, we don't know, because they apparently, from everything they can tell, it's a pretty darn complete and very effective shutout. And it's going to be that way until late March. And they're afraid that if the government isn't overthrown, this will become permanent. So it'll become a little like, remember I always said that Iran was pretty accessible. So we're going to have to check with Ali Reza and with Farzin. Yeah. But I think I've broadcast into Iran at least 40 or 50 times.
Yes.
I mean, I know I've had about 10 or 12 major speeches.
Yes.
That put on there.
I've made it.
But I'm talking about just little comments and things like that. And I mean, I would watch them do it. And I will say the MEK and their people are very good, but there are a lot of other people that are very good.
Right.
So it wasn't impossible. And it actually seemed kind of easy, but I'm sure it wasn't, to crack through.
Yeah.
Now it's become impossible, according to every source that I know.
Well, it's an argument for parts of the world.
And what I really like to find out is, has the Nepo baby Shah ever attempted to broadcast there before, or is this the first time? Because if he hasn't, everybody else has. Right? All of my colleagues who have at one time or another been put in a position where they could have been bombed or killed or on behalf of that country, which he never did, have all had a chance to broadcast there. Meanwhile, you should know that some of the richest Iranians who helped to support this phony government are in Turkey right now.
Well,
Turkey is a little like their Qatar.
Okay,
they're in Turkey and they're all having a great time. The well-heeled, unimpeded by the economic crisis, have taken shelter in a place called Van, a Turkish province 60 miles away from Iran's border. Elite Iranians gathering in a nightclub. These people benefit from the regime. They left Iran for now because they were worried about staying there. Here they can feel safe, continue to make money from their businesses, which basically is tantamount to stealing money from Iran, like the Shah used to do, and what he'd like to get back in position to do again.
Right.
So his family can reload the coffers, which comes out of the mouths of the people that are starving in Iran. Not just the ethnic minorities who hate him, but the Persian related Iranians with a Persian background. And Iran is threatening to continue its mass executions. They've got about 5,000 demonstrators that have been slaughtered on the streets, but they have a whole bunch lined up for execution, which they are holding up right now. It's very hard to know how many they've killed. Very, very hard to know. Doctors who have been sort of surveyed surreptitiously put the number at about 17,000. So the number varies from the government, I think, says 2,000. Everybody says definitely 12. And most say it probably gets up to about 20,000.
Wow.
But
isn't that just incredible?
The check that was done, I think it was done by maybe the London Times, puts the number at about 16,500.
That is incredible. I mean,
that they've
you
killed.
Just hear that, and that is just.
And they're doing it as we speak. I mean,
where are the protests in America for against a brutal Islamic regime?
Oh, they're killing children. I mean,
killing children.
Well, how about just to put some names on it? Sholeh Soudeh of Langarod, which is in Gilan province, was shot 5 times on January 10th. This is based on a Norwegian human rights group called the Hengar Association. They also confirmed that Ziba Dastiardi, 33, was shot in front of her daughter in Nishapur a day later. Zara Bagheri, who is a mother of 3, was shot in the head during a protest on January 8th. Sarah Baboudi, 45, who was a music instructor in Sanam Porbai, was killed, also shot. And Aida Agali, 34, was killed during one of the recent protests in Sanam Porbai. In that particular protest, which was monitored by this Norwegian human rights group, 26 women were killed, just women. And it just continues to go on and on and on. And as I said, one of the results could be a fractured Iran. The baby Shah has now called upon the president to strike military targets to speed up the collapse of the regime. My guess is he is doing that because he knows the president's going to do it, and then he can say the president did it because he asked for it.
That's right.
Very much the same way he said, I told them to protest, and then they went out and protest. I mean, they've been protesting, jackass, since 2014.
Yep.
And you didn't tell them to protest in 2014 or 2017 or 2018 or 2022, for that matter. Nor do they really give a shit what the guy who stole all their money has to say about it, and who probably killed one of their relatives. So in Minnesota, there are 1,500 troops that are ready to go in if the president invokes the Insurrection Act. And the Insurrection Act allows the president, I'll make it simple, and it goes back to the very beginning of our Constitution. President Washington was the first to use it. If it's impossible, if you're being obstructed, or it becomes impossible to carry out federal law.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, that's clear. There it is. They openly tell you they're going to obstruct the execution of federal law. They tell you they're going to not help. They're not going to assist. They're not going to give you information. They're not going to come to your aid if they're trying to kill you or if a church is being attacked. They're going to let murderers free who are wanted by ICE for murder and not tell you. So you have to go guess where they are. I don't know what else they have to do to show that they are, in essence, with regard to the sole and power of the federal government to police immigration, that they're going to completely obstruct it.
Right.
I mean, I just don't get what else it is they can do.
Right.
So, is there a basis on which to bring in the military in order to make sure that federal law is carried out? Absolutely, it's being completely obstructed,
right.
Including now the rights of people to worship in church without being accosted.
Right.
Which they don't seem to be able to have any effect on.
Well, let's play a little bit. I don't think we played it on this show, but let's play a little bit from Don Lemon and his crew. This is from the weekend in St. Paul, which is the sister city.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your service. I appreciate it.
Today we had the honor to protest with Nikema Armstrong and the Racial Justice Network. Just like Jesus did, we went into that church and we flipped tables peacefully. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? Where are you? You drink your coffee, you got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities?
I'm not going to comment.
You have no comment, exactly. As you can see, all these pretend Christians, all these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit.
Come back to you.
Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit?
Well, I mean, that is about as direct a violation of federal law as you can get. It is against the law, federal law passed by Congress, to go into a church and interrupt a religious service and to intimidate and coerce. Well, yelling at them and screaming at them and telling them, why are they doing this? And frightening them in the exercise of their right to practice their religion is about as un-American as you can get, and has to show you the communist roots of these people in Minneapolis. Now, these communist roots go back to the former Labor Party, and I believe they go back to the 1930s and 40s. But none of it is clearer than Tampon Tim, who, the moment he left college, he was recruited and brought to Red China for a year and a half and trained. He had an affair with a Chinese woman who he jilted.
Yeah.
Came back to America, and then for the next 20 or 30 years was supported by the Red Chinese, I believe. Now, I can't prove that, but he's never been questioned about it. He did run 2 businesses, and his 2 businesses were sending kids over to China.
Right.
What the hell are you sending kids to China for? And then he was teaching in China, and he got invited back every year to teach in China. You got to be teaching communism to be invited back. Otherwise, they're not going to invite you back, or they're going to kill you, one or the other. And they don't seem to want to kill him, and he seems to love them.
Right.
And anybody who loves Red China has got to be either a fool or a communist. He could be either, actually. When you listen to him, he could also be a fool, because sometimes he sounds like he doesn't even have a brain.
Right.
So you can see this hostility to religion. I mean, this is the place where the trans person killed the 2 children that were going back to Catholic school, and wounded 22 people, which they try to keep under wraps because somebody's going to raise the question: why are these trans people doing so many mass murders? Maybe because they have a mental illness. Could be the reason, huh? That you're covering up. So we have Ali Reza with us.
That's right. Let's see if he's still with us. There he is. Ali Reza's on the show as we shift focus over to Iran in what has been a very, very busy month, to say the least.
What's going on inside Iran, Ali Reza?
Good day, Mayor. This is great to join you again. Really appreciate the opportunity. Now, in terms of what's going on inside the country, of course, the protests today also continued in various cities. It's now turned in mostly to hit and run and clashes between the people and the Revolutionary Guards. The regime, as you've reported, has executed so many people, but they're also threatening to kill more. They feel that if the uprising gains momentum again, as it has been in the past, every turn is going to be more decisive, more focused, more firm against the Iranian regime, and the call for change is going to be a lot more serious. People are going to, confront the Revolutionary Guards to push them back. They're not going to tolerate, especially after the massacre the regime did against the protesters. The judiciary of the Iran regime announced that they're going to speed up the process, and they're going to deal what they call decisively with the maximum punishment for the protesters. And that's exactly what you're going to see in the coming days, a wave of executions as promised by the Iranian regime. One of the things that the regime officials are so much focusing on is to find out about the connections, about who was behind the network of the protests and how they maintained momentum for so many days and weeks. And that's why I think it's important to realize the fear that the Iranian regime has had over the protests. And also it tells you that no matter what the regime does, they're not going to be able to crush the movement for change, because the foundational elements that led to this uprising are not only still there, but add to it the anger of the population as a result of these killings. And this nation, this population is not going to back down despite the killings. So you have a nation with a history, at least under the mullahs, the past 40 plus years, standing up to the regime, and they will continue to do that.
So, Ali Reza, will they actually go ahead with public execution in spite of what President Trump said? I mean, President Trump was very, very clear. If they execute anyone, he's going to attack them. So, I mean, they're basically going to, you think, challenge him to do that?
Well, one thing we know about the nature of this regime, I can't think of any period that the regime has survived without, executions. If they abandon the killings and execution, they will not survive even a single day. That has been the trend within this regime over the past few decades, especially when they feel that they are threatened by their own population. So we have to see, how things turn out in the coming days. But one thing I know from the experience in the past decades, that this regime only responds to decisiveness and firmness. If they feel that the outside world is lenient, it's not going to be as firm, it's not going to hold them accountable, then they will push the envelope further. That's what I know about the nature of this regime.
It is a reality that after the president said that very, very firmly, the Chief Justice the next day said he was going to go ahead with all of these executions that he has planned, and he wasn't going to be deterred. So at least they've announced that they're going to do this. I guess we have to see what actually happens. I mean, is it possible they could do this and try to hide it?
Well, there have been many cases that they have started killings, without announcing it or without doing it certainly publicly. It's a difficult situation for them to do it publicly. Every time they do, they want to create more fear. But we should be prepared for anything. One thing I understand is that all of the affairs in the past 3-4 weeks clearly indicate the vulnerability of the Iran regime, their weakness, how they're so paranoid in dealing with their own population. Comparing this time of the killings against the protesters compared to all the other previous cases, it's just, it only shows fear in the regime. And the number of killings this time is higher than all the previous rounds since 2017 combined. So that's a clear indication of the weakness and vulnerability of the Iran regime. But also, it's a clear indication of a nation who is willing to stand up firm against the Ayatollahs. There's nothing they can do that would help them survive.
Now, the baby Shah, I call him the Nepo baby Shah. He claims that he broadcast into Iran maybe yesterday or the day before. Meanwhile, the internet access has been cut off completely. First of all, has he ever broadcast, to your knowledge, into Iran before?
Well, there are times that there were claims that, not broadcasting, but basically trying to hack the system for a few seconds here and there. But the question is, what's the purpose? What is it that they want to accomplish? Is the goal to basically remind everyone that there was a dictatorship of the Shah, which was his father?
Yeah, we used to kill you, but we didn't kill as many. We only killed about half.
And this was a system that was built on repression. Everything that we know about the Evin prison is from the Shah's time, because that's who built the prison.
Maybe he made a speech because he wants his prison back.
Actually,
regime took his prison. Now he wants the prison back.
I think you're correct, and let me tell you why. Because he had a press conference in Washington a couple of days ago, and he was asked by one of the reporters, what is his position about his father's rule, which ruled through executions, torture, the secret police savak, and the secret party rule. And then, Reza Pahlavi responded by saying basically that I'm not here to analyze history. I leave that to the historians. I'm here to write history. Wait a minute. He talks about everything, the whole history of every country around the world, and even in Iran. But with that period, that was the rule of his father, he's silent. Well,
what other claim does he have but a certain historical one?
He doesn't want to
done anything.
Yes, he doesn't want to reject
the
dictatorship. He doesn't want to reject the torture and the executions at the time. The Shah himself, in the last weeks before his rule, when the protests started, he appeared before the national television. He basically admitted, he told the people that I heard the voice of the revolution, and I pledged that I will not repeat the mischief and the corruption and the injustices. I pledged to correct all of those things. It was too little too late. And now his son is basically even going further, not even admitting what the Shah himself admitted. And he wants to go around it without, condemning those killings, condemning Savak, condemning the single party rule. That's what defined the Shah's dictatorship. And that's why people in large numbers, millions, swept the Shah out of power. And so you cannot run based on the credibility, or his only connection to Iran is his father. Period.
What's the feeling? I mean, you don't get any sense of what the feeling inside Iran is about him, except with the ethnic groups. They all pretty much registered their hatred of him. But what is the feeling inside Iran about him? Is he a distraction? Is he, or do people just ignore him?
Well, he certainly is a distraction, because his message in the midst of when the uprising was already in place and moving forward, he just tries to jump in and trying to use some foreign media to relay the message to Iran that, saying, asking people to go to the streets when they were already there. And he starts defending his father's basically rule. That's a clear indication that he's trying to go backwards. This is not what the people want. When the people are chanting death to the dictator, death to Khamenei, the whole momentum is built around that to bring down the Ayatollahs. He is basically distracting from the main slogan, which is death to Khamenei and bringing down the regime. He's trying to insert himself, making things as though it's about him and not about overthrowing the dictatorship. That's clearly a disruption. And that's why the mullahs benefit from this. That's the only way they can survive, is to derail the change in Iran.
Well, thank you very much, Ali Reza. We'll get back to you, I'm sure, tomorrow or the next day to see what's going on. This is something's going to happen really soon, I think. And I think there's going to be, I think the reason why the baby Shah, as part of his speech, called upon President Trump to attack the military installations in Iran is he knows, like, at least reading the tea leaves, which I can read, that I think it's decisions have already been made.
Right.
I think it's just a question of getting the right resources in place, not so much to do the attack, but to protect our, gosh, we got about 14 or 15 military bases within striking distance of Iran. It may or may not. They may or may not have the capability of doing anything, but you can't take that chance. So, and there's no reason to rush. I mean, maybe to save some lives, there's a reason to rush. But I think the president wants to make sure we're in an ideal position, as we were before, to protect against any kind of counterattack. And I think that's pretty much the message that Netanyahu delivered to him a couple of days ago, when Netanyahu asked him to wait.
Yeah,
I think he wanted to make sure they had everything in place to protect themselves, because this is going to be a do or die situation. This isn't just taking out now the military installations or taking out the nuclear capacity. It's taking the regime out.
Right.
So this is going to, whatever they've got, they're going to use to keep themselves in power.
Right.
But I can't. I mean, I don't know. First of all, let me tell you, I don't know this. No one's told me this. No one's told me this directly or as a leak or anything else. This is purely my reading the tea leaves, just reading and listening. And it sounds to me, in the way we're answering questions and what we're saying, and like this is getting ready to happen. They're moving the USS Ford into position.
Right.
They got a couple more days before that gets exactly where you want it. Now they don't need that to attack Iran.
Right.
They need that to protect. They need that as part. Let's call it a golden dome.
Right.
So that no matter what, Iran, or if God forbid, and I doubt this would ever happen, but China or Russia would try to help them, we can protect everyone.
Yep.
I think China and Russia is bye-bye. Goodbye. We had enough for you.
Yeah.
All you've been doing is costing us money lately, and forget it.
Right.
So I expect before the weekend, this will happen.
Right.
I also think we're getting really close to the 1,500 troops being brought into Minneapolis. I think what happened at the church kind of push that. The fact that the police did nothing to try to stop that.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you think about it, they're almost pathetically undefended. They have 800 cops. New York City is down by about 8,000. Down about 8,000, and they're at 32,000, as opposed to 800.
Right.
Crazy in a city with the danger that they have there, and the killings they have there, and the drugs they have there, and the fentanyl they have there, and the $9 billion that was stolen at least by crooks there.
Right.
They've got a massive homeless problem. They got a massive drug problem. Well, I think we've covered everything that we need to cover for today, so that people know what's really going.
Right.
People know what's really going on. There is a report that we'll check into a little bit more carefully, but it sounds like inside China, they are panicking that they are losing the AI war, and it seems like they now believe that the gap is widening. They thought for a while they were closing it, and now it looks like the gap is widening because of the bottleneck in chips.
Yep.
So whatever deal Trump made with them, sounds like they think they were screwed, which they probably were.
Right.
Which they probably were. Let me make one last pitch for coffee. There is a great report that coffee gives you your necessary amount of iron, zinc, not your necessary amount, but adds to your zinc, calcium, magnesium, and B vitamins. And so, I don't know, about 66% of U.S. adults drink coffee every day, while roughly 74% take a dietary supplement. And Coffee offers a group of health perks from boosting brain functioning and reducing inflammation to improving heart health and supporting metabolism. Now, it does interfere. It does interfere with some of these supplements, but this report claims it's better than the supplements. And that's the. It also absorbs some calcium. So all of the new reports on coffee is used reasonably, 2 or 3 cups a day.
Yep.
It's actually not just not dangerous, it's healthy.
Right. It's healthy. It's a
one last thought I just have to get in because nobody
Rudy coffee. You got to get
you got to get Rudy coffee, but I got to get this in because nobody's going to report this.
Right.
Do you know that Swalwell can't run for governor of California? Not because he had not because he was shacking up with a communist spy, which should be a good reason why he should be in federal prison for the rest of his life. Wang Wang, Pang Pang, what was the name?
Fang Fang.
Fang Fang. Okay, Fang Fang. He doesn't live in California. He doesn't have the necessary residence to run for governor. How can he be in Congress?
Well, it's
Public record searches reveal no current ownership or leasehold interest held by Eric Swalwell in California. How about this? Nor any history of any ownership. I guess you have to own some real estate to run for governor. He doesn't officially live there, according to a new court claim. He lives in Washington, D.C., and therefore he's prohibited from running for the top state office under California law.
Pretty clear.
Maybe he should be,
I love this because even if he somehow proves he lives in California,
his campaign filing makes the place to send him mail in California, his lawyer's office.
Yeah. Wow.
Maybe you can just throw him out of Congress. That'd be a plus.
Right.
Here, a guy doesn't get thrown out of Congress when he has a Chinese spy that he's banging, right?
Yeah.
And but he doesn't get thrown out of Congress because he's too stupid to come up with some like little apartment.
Right. With all that money, all that Chinese money.
Yeah, he's got plenty of people that bribe him and give him one. I mean, I'm sure he takes.
But
I should say. I don't know that he takes bribes.
It's not a great way to start a campaign when you have to defend whether or not you live in the place you want to run.
One last thought.
All right, we got to get everyone over to Lindell TV.
Rebecca Good looks like she's under investigation for being an accomplice to the murder, to the death of her husband, Nicole Renee. And I get confused on this stuff. Please, I want to make sure I get it right. You know, the pronouns and all. Renee Nicole Good, who is the woman who attempted to kill the ICE agent by hitting him with a 2.5-ton truck. She was being encouraged doing that by Rebecca Good, her husband. No, her wife. Got it wrong. Her wife. Rebecca was saying, "Drive, baby, drive," as she was looking at the human being that she was driving into. But since he was an ICE agent, they believe you were entitled to kill him. And that it's his fault that he shot in order to save his life. And this is what happens when you have a communist governor and an asshole mayor. Or you let Democrats govern the city. So we'll see you tomorrow night. Until then, you pray for the people in Iran, and you pray for the people in Israel and the people in Ukraine. You pray for the people in the United States. And how about all the people that go to church? Pray for them. They seem to be under severe attack now. And at least in Democrat cities, nobody wants to protect them.
Right.
But I think the president will protect them, just like he's going all out to protect the Christians in Nigeria that they keep claiming they're really not, they're really not killing them because they're Christian. They're just killing them.
Right.
And of course, go over now to Lindell TV, and pick up Dr. Maria. She became a very special guest who is particularly articulate. I won't tell you who. And come back to us tomorrow. Okay? God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense. So let's do it.